Hey everybody, it's Jason with Parallel Reality coming back with you today with a pop culture topic. It's from Bleeding Fool. It says, Are Disney's Marvel shows taking your comic collection's values from September 20th? And as someone who used to have a rather large collection of comics, and as I said, used to, sold them all on eBay a long time ago, paid off my student loan with it, which was not really a big amount, but still, I can say it that way because that is actually true. And really, my comic collection these days is limited to mostly trade paperbacks. But if this is a topic that's kind of near and dear to me because I did used to collect for a while, so let's go ahead and uh, look into this because this is really interesting. That like, are Disney's Marvel shows bad enough to where your comic collection is losing value because of nothing that has to do with the comics themselves? So let's go ahead and check it out. Of course, let me go back up. Picture of the She-Hulk show, which I did not watch. I do not have Disney Plus. I have no intention of having Disney Plus. And oh, I got to read that quote first. And yeah, I will. And so I didn't watch the show, but I had not heard good things about it. So, quote here says, "Value is what people are willing to pay for it," by John Naisbitt. Article goes on and says, Mr. Naisbitt's words are never truer than when it comes to pricing the modern comic book industry. It's very important to remember that value is what something is worth, but the price is the amount someone is selling for. Though these two numbers often don't match up. So there are so many factors that can affect the price and value of a comic: scarcity, condition, speculative market, character popularity, storyline events, etc. Most key comic issues tend to hold steady in value and even increase over time, raising the price, especially after a major event. I would say a show on Disney Plus counts as a major event, but are there poorly received shows devaluing iconic comic books? And with this picture, it says Cat must have a gun in his back to force that smile. Yeah, could be. So it says, while listening to a recent Yellow Flash video, and again, go subscribe to Yellow Flash, he's awesome. Says he casually mentioned how the price of She-Hulk's first appearance has fallen since the debut of She-Hulk: Attorney at Law. Just like there are many reasons a comic could go up in price, there are just as many reasons for a comic to devalue. Drastic character change, diluting the franchise with too many versions, hello Spider-Man, or just overusing a character until she becomes a cliche, like, Deadpool or something. Says, or Marvel and DC can blacklist their characters, blacklist their best creators out of the industry because of ideology, and often do. And yeah, that article here. Let's see here. I just want to click on that really quick and go to it. Hello, Ed. And what was this for? Oh, it was the Penny Parker articles. Yes, you should definitely go read that. I'm not going to go into it now because they're very long. But yeah, so yeah, there are numerous creators that have been blacklisted from the comic industry because they happen to be conservative. That's it. So yeah, and like most of the other industries, like movies and TV and video games, the comic industry is way to the left now. So like we're talking like far left, and they've just been very ideologically captured. So let's keep going here. It says there are at least half a dozen sites pricing comics, all telling you what a comic should be worth. Most of those sites are pay to play, and quite frankly, I did not feel like wasting my money, neither would I. Says the article says, but I found another way. A nice stack of comics there. Some of them look kind of dinged up. It says evidence. Says the collection tracking site, Price Charting, did give me some idea that perhaps Yellow Flash is speaking the truth. Admittedly, having one source is not ideal, so take this all with a grain of salt. I welcome any contrary evidence from one of the many pay sites. However, us poor folk must work with what we have, and nothing is better than free. According to the price charting website, that's how do we calculate comic book prices? We monitor every eBay sale for comic books. Using our proprietary technology, we assign each sale to an issue, toss the junk, and record the grade for each sale. Our comic book pricing algorithm then determines the value for each issue for each grade. You can see historic prices for every issue so you know which comic books are increasing in price and which are dropping. All right. So it says, so price charting follows what people are actually paying for comics, not what they should be worth. There are definitely sites other than eBay that are not factored into their algorithm, so it's very possible for these prices to increase in aggregate, but eBay is where Norway seem to buy comics, so it works as a test case. Yeah, and that's where back in the day, like near the beginning of eBay, got most of my stuff. Was like, oh wait, I need to go buy the back issues of this because I want to read about it. eBay was the place to go. Um, and it's nothing against my store that I still go to these days, but you're going to find things for cheaper on eBay than you would in just the regular store. Even though I still did get a lot of stuff from them, but it was more like if I was missing an issue of something, I would just check to see if they had it and then just grab it from them. So here's a copy of She-Hulk number one, Savage She-Hulk number one, I should say. So the author says I did a search for the key issue, Savage She-Hulk #1, which is once again this issue here, and says it's the first appearance of She-Hulk. Says I used the listings of raw, loose, or ungraded, and those graded at 8.0 and 9.2 because I felt those would be the most common for non-CGC graded comics. And for people that don't know out there, CGC is the Comics Guarantee Corporation, I believe, is what the last C means, and they professionally grade comics. So like 8 is not a 10 is what the scale is. An 8 I want to say is actually what is that? It's not near mint. A 9 is near mint. So I think a 10 is very fine is what the grading is. And these are usually pretty good grades anyway. And Savage She-Hulk, based on just look this, when did She-Hulk debut? I think this is February. I think that is this cover date of February, so it was probably December of the prior year. I want to say it was 78 was when that debuted off the top of my head. I wasn't a huge She-Hulk fan at all. Like, not, as in, like, I just never really read anything with She-Hulk in it for the most part. So I don't really know, and I apologize for that. Hello, Spider-Man on the corner there. But yeah, so like I said, what these guys do is professionally grade the comics, and these grades are assigned by them, and what they do is that they put them in like a hard plastic case that's very difficult to get the comic out once it's been graded. I mean, you can do it, but it's not recommended. And if their grading is on there, it substantially increases the value of your comic because people know that what they're buying actually is that grade. So it's different from me going on eBay and saying, hey, this is in near mint condition. And then someone gets the comic and they're like, yeah, I ain't near mint, dude. But then if it comes with like a 9.2 on it, people are going to go, oh, wait, no, that actually is near mint. Okay. With 10 being mint. So good luck finding one of those. That would skyrocket the value of your comic. So if you have one of those, congratulations to you. You've almost found a unicorn. So it says, in the results, you can see that by the time Disney She-Hulk series was announced in October 21, that the price for issue #1 was already on the decline. It's a surefire indicator of a thriving comic community, and I bet that is sarcasm there because the comics industry is in no way, shape, or form thriving, though the leftist media that controls that information, such as Bleeding Cool, which is the name of this site, Bleeding Fool, is a parody of Bleeding Cool. Though they tend to report actual news, where Bleeding Cool is ideologically captured, and also Comics Beat, and also Newsrama, comic book resources, yeah, they've all gone far to the left, so they're going to run cover for this, and they always do. People on the comics gate side of things tend to say, hey, things aren't looking good, and always put out videos with actual proof, or go to websites where it's like, check this out, and then the people on the left are like, no, everything's fine. Don't believe them because that's what leftists do. They have to be contrarian. So it says, yet after the announcement, there's a noticeable jump in price. Of course, yeah, that would make the character more popular. If they're saying we're going to make a TV show based on the character, of course, the price is going to go up. That's fairly standard. So it says, yes, the blue line on top is bothering me too, but it's late and I'm tired. Oh, this thing up here. Okay. Nice caption, though. So yeah, the price did actually go up. And a 9 point. So you can see like the difference in price here. So raw is just like if it wasn't graded at all. So if you were to have Savage She-Hulk #1 on your own, like just in a bag and board and sell it, you're going to be able to sell it probably for something around, let's say, $160. Whereas if it was graded at an 8.0, which again I think is very fine, it raised the value by $30. If it was a 9.2, which is near mint, you're going up almost $100, $90. So you can see what grading it does. But you can see the value, though, after the show was announced in November, everything kind of took off a little bit. So it says this can more than likely be chalked up to speculators or price gougers charging more in anticipation. Love or hate this practice, but speculators do move the needle when it comes to comic price and value, and people pay for what they think it will be worth. Yeah, that's a good observation. Because by the time She-Hulk Attorney at Law debuted in August 2022, Savage She-Hulk #1 had settled to a decent $200 range. So here we go. So Raw, oh, back at that point when the show came out, it was, oh wow, it was down to $103. Then I put it, yeah, so it did go down a lot. Okay. Says, however, after the show's dismal performance, and what's the link there say? Okay. Says the price you can get for this key issue on eBay has plummeted significantly. What does that say now? It's $50 for the raw one. That's the one I would just generally go on. So remember, it started up here. Where's the first one? Right here. $160 in November of 2021. And if you were to sell just again one in your bag and board in your closet or whatever, $50. So that went down $110. That lost, was that 3/4 of its value? I can never do those calculations. I mean, or like 2/3 of its value. Is that more accurate? Still, it's a significant amount of its value. And even the 9.21 is essentially half the value that it was at its peak, up here. That's wow. Okay. And says that is a steep decline in value, as I just said, in value for the first appearance of an iconic character like She-Hulk, who is an iconic character, which should anger comic store owners because that is money out of their pockets. That's correct, and that's basically at this point, if they have these issues and they're selling it, that's like all profit for them, as far as I'm aware. Because they've already bought the issues, they have it, so they're just selling it at this point. So it's like all theirs. So here's Werewolf by Night, number 25. It's from updated in August. That's in the 70s. That was their trade dress, or the trade dress. I'm sorry, the comic book dress in the 70s. So that is somewhere in there, but I don't really know much about Werewolf by Night. So it says, how awesome and kinetic is this cover on that caption? Yeah, that is pretty cool against Moon Knight right here. Yeah, I like that. It says, to research further, I did a search for Werewolf by Night number 32, the first appearance of Moon Knight. I did not know that. Again, I've only read a little Moon Knight, so I know a little more about Moon Knight than I do about Werewolf by Night and She-Hulk. What was it? Charlie Houston, I think was the writer, wrote a series with David Finch, or maybe it was Brian Bendis. Someone did that, but that's actually really good, and I have that in trade. So I recommend that. It says again, there was a bump in the price when the show debuted in March 2022, and it held steady for months after the show before it declined. Moon Knight was better received by the audience, so this may explain why the decline in value was not as steep as She-Hulk's. So what do we got here? So it says, oh wow, raw copy was 1,400. Jesus, I can barely read that. $1,437.13. At an 8.0, it was 3,069.32, and at a 9.2, $7,775. Wow, yeah, that's also because it's going back into the seven. Oh, it is 1975. Says right there. You know what? Does the She-Hulk one say what year it was? 1980. Okay, I was wrong. I thought it was the year I was born. It is not. It's 1980. Okay, so World by Night from 75. It says another show, Hawkeye did not seem to have an effect on Hawkeye's first appearance in Tales of Suspense number 57. We're going back to the 60s for this one. There is a small decline in price far after the show debuted in November 2021. This is 1964 Tales of Suspense is featuring Iron Man because the Tales of Suspense series eventually was renamed Iron Man from there. So let's see what we have here. So first Hawkeye appearance, regular copy. Geez, that's actually small for what I figured an issue from 1964, 60-year-old issue is only, was it 431.07? That's not a lot for me, especially for Hawkeye, who's not exactly a minor character. An 8.0, 1,940.33. Sorry, as I'm talking, I'm like leaning in to see the amounts because I don't want to like click on something and make everything go haywire, which knowing my luck is what would happen. And then the 9.2, $8,580. My God. So if you had a 9.2 60-year-old issue, which more power to you if you got one of those things. The value of your comic from just being in a bag and board, would go from $430 to $8,500, just under $8,600. That's a hell of a return. All right. So the article goes back to saying, but before I was willing to say Yellow Flash might have been wrong, I investigated the characters Marvel Studios is trying to push with these series and movies. Because there was a bump in Young Avengers #1, and that series is excellent. So I would recommend it. It's actually on my bookshelf. Let me just turn and look and see if it is still there. It's still there, right next to Why the Last Man. It's written by Alan Weinberg, who I think was a TV writer for jumping into comics and doing stuff here and there. But again, it is an excellent series, and I recommend it a lot. It says the first appearance of Kate Bishop, who is basically Hawkeye Jr. Says at the time the show debuted in November 2021, this was followed by a ridiculous spike in price in March 2022, which you can see right here on the chart, after what I suspect was speculators believing she would be returning as the new Hawkeye. So this issue's from 2005. Let's see, that went from basically no value at all, which that's weird that there's no actually, or was that? Oh no, it's an 8. Nothing. So nobody had actually had it graded as an 8. That's why it has no value. I thought that was the raw. The raw was 209.30. Wow, really? That's a lot more than I thought it was at 9.2, 243.20. Okay. Yeah, because it's a more modern issue. So the 9.2s aren't going to be much different than what the raw is. Okay. So it's a speculator. Says that quickly died down, however, with the demise of the show, and as you can see up here, it just kind of goes down, settling at a price that is still too high for my comfort. Yeah, a raw for 209. That's why I have the trades. I don't have to worry about things going up or down in price. So here's Miss Marvel. It says this is when things get compelling. A quick search for Miss Marvel #1, that's Kamala Khan, found the same pattern of a bump before the show's debut in June, followed by a decline after. And this is after I stopped reading comics, and like I should say, stopped reading monthly issues, and I stopped reading, and it was right before they killed off Captain America in 2006. Um, so I know nothing about Miss Marvel. She's post dates my reading time really. And let's see, Raw $60 for a debut issue, 8.0 is 165, 9.2 is 215. Okay, that's not bad. But again, the 8.0 and 9.2s don't increase a lot because it's more of a modern thing. I mean, it's not even a 10-year-old comic. It says, yeah, the interesting thing is if you look at all the data price charting has to offer, the price of both Miss Marvel and Kate Bishop first appearances have decreased overall since their show's debuts. Okay, yeah. So if it's like somewhere in here, yeah, it just kind of keeps going down. It looks like the 8.0 and 9.2s are slightly coming up, but the raw one is just kind of, you know. So it says, according to the graph, Miss Marvel #1 was worth more before the show, which is the opposite outcome you expect from a major event. Yep, I would agree. It says a similar search for Invincible Iron Man #7, the first cameo by Riri Williams, who I think debuted in the Black Panther 2 movie. Says you can see a massive decline in price after Black Panther Wakanda Forever debuted in October 2022. Oh, okay, it said that. Says, in fact, you can get Riri's first appearance for less than $50 on all grades currently on eBay after the speculation market had pushed the price to 3 times that amount before the movie. So the regular issue you can get for 72, and this must have been before the movie, 72.50. The 8.0 was at what was that, $86, and then the 9.2 at 104.50. Okay. So it says, in conclusion, obviously this evidence is very circumstantial. Price charting is only one site using a proprietary algorithm searching a single platform, which is eBay. There's yet additional searches on price charting of other popular MCU characters demonstrate that their first appearances are doing just fine. For instance, Iron Man #55, the first appearance of Thanos, is as hard to get as ever, as are others, like the Winter Soldier's first appearance in Captain America #6. Was it Volume 5, Captain America? That Brubaker stuff, which again, that's an excellent run. Ed Brubaker's Captain America. Highly recommend you go read, like, highest possible recommendation. Ed Brubaker's, if he's not my favorite comic book writer ever, he's near the top. So, highest possible recommendation. Says, but of course, people still actually like those characters. Yeah, so the Iron Man is from 1973, first appearance of Thanos, Iron Man 55. Yeah, okay. So yeah, these are pretty high. So as mentioned before, there are many other comic pricing sites that people can pay for that may have far more detailed data to refute all these findings. There is also the graded comic book market that has an entirely different market price structure, and correlation does not imply causation. The comic book industry was already in decline by the time these shows came around due to poor hiring practices, ridiculously high cover prices for less value. Yeah, that I've been hearing a lot about that since I stopped reading, and creators who attack the fan base any chance they get. Yep. And what is this article linked to? Oh, Ron Mars. Yeah. Great run on the Silver Surfer. Like the run of the Silver Surfer, everybody remembers, but man, the guy is a severe case of TDS. Says with all these negative factors assailing the big two comic companies, it's not impossible to imagine that yes, horrid Disney Marvel fare accelerated the devaluing of the comics you, the customer, spent years collecting. Thank God indie comics are bringing back the fun and value of collecting again. And this looks like a screen print from eBay. And this is for ISOM. This is Eric July's comic. Again, go follow Eric July on Twitter at Eric D. July. And on YouTube, he is at Young Rippa59, Rippa, R-I-P-P-A 59. And this is his comic book. This is ISOM #2. There's only 2 issues out, 1 and 2, but issue 1 was 96 pages. Issue 2 is 112 pages. Yes, I owned them. ISOM #2 is a huge step up for him from the first one. I really enjoyed ISOM #2 much more than the first one, but I mean, even for, yeah, people are going to buy them for these prices too. And this one's graded at a 9.8. That's near perfect because again, the scale is 10. That's $400. Not bad. So it's and then the author shills his own thing. Okay. Yeah. So what do you guys think about this? I mean, can you imagine that you had like whether it's a comic or any sort of thing, or some pop culture property, and a company put out shows based on that did bad enough to where it was devaluing your stuff that you had? What do you think about that? If you've watched Yellow Flash's video, let me know that too. And again, go subscribe to him. It's at Yellow Flash 2 on YouTube, and he is just I think he's at Yellow Flash Guy on Twitter. So let me know what you think in the comments below. This has already been a long video, so we're gonna end it here. Like, share, subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.